Cacao can be a little messy. Unlocking the power to transform anything and everything. Hello, beloved community. It's Katerina here, bringing you a conversation about the power of transformation and why I love serpents and snakes. One is tattooed on my left arm, another one is hanging on my wall because it's a symbol of Kundalini, right? The divine power within. So let's talk about how to ignite more of that divine power to transform anything. Welcome. I was preparing for a call, for a business call, just to realize I'm a 1 week early for the call. This is very, it happens with me. So I had a space to do a live stream, and that's what we're doing. So while more people join, I'm going to show you my healing room. Welcome, everyone. We're just warming up for this alchemical transmission about how to transform anything and why I'm in love with serpents. One is hanging on my wall over there, right next to Tibetan tanka, shamanic drum. Let's see what other objects of power I surround myself in with. I have an altar right over here. This is my main, kind of like a mini temple in the house. And I surround myself with objects of power to remember who I am, to remember what's my assignment this incarnation, and the inexhaustible power of spirit to transform anything into a higher essence of it. That we all have that power. Every single one of us has a sleeping giant within. Who was the first one? I think it was Tony Robbins who named that energy, right? The sleeping power within. So I recently acquired this incredible crystal in the shape of a skull. Yeah, so beautiful. Why? Because an image of the skull represents consciousness, right? So remembering that we are at our essence consciousness in human form. We can activate our dormant DNA, we can activate our power, we can remember who we are. But everything begins, I don't know who is with me, but let's begin. A lot of people usually watch my live streams as a replay. Let's begin these conversations, beloved, because this is a very powerful talk to have with yourself if you desire to transform anything in your life. Turn up the volume. Okay. And especially if you are in a transformational work with other human beings. There's usually 3 reasons people don't change or don't change rapidly enough, or hold themselves back from the transformation they say they want. Are you ready for this? I am in the career, I have this very unique career that my soul has guided me to choose. It's a career of transformation. It's an alchemy. My work is alchemy. And alchemy is all about diving into the mud, diving into the messy things that don't work, diving into the things that are swept under the rug, and bringing it to the light. And to say, hey, I know it's probably not going to be very pleasant to look at these areas in your life, but these are the areas where you're losing your power. These are the areas that are holding you back. And until you make a courageous choice to look at them directly, nothing will transform in your life, right? Alchemist is a person who is willing to have that conversation. First of all, with herself, himself, themselves, right? Because unless we learn the process of transforming ourselves, we're not ready to assist others in doing the same, right? So the work of the alchemist, the work of the person who helps others transform, is this ongoing, ruthless self-examination, right? And loving the process of looking into the mirror of your psyche. It is a process of self-honesty, beloveds. Take a sip of cacao. The key to transforming anything starts with our willingness to look honestly at ourselves. Without honesty, there is no transformation. There's no transfer. Without honesty, we are in a fantasy land, right? And unless we make this, and usually honesty comes when we are tired of our own bullshit. There is a there is a meme goes around, meditating bear. Have you seen it? I'm gonna find it, and it's a meditating bear. It's like a funny thing. And the meditating bear says, the first step to change is to become aware, to become aware, to become aware of my own bullshit. And I love it so much because that's the first step to change, right? That's the first step to change, is to say, where am I lying to myself, right? You know, this is the first step to change, because trust me, the human mind, so we have this incredible tool called a mind, right? But there is different levels of the mind. There is a low mind, low level of the mind, low nature. That's where our ego lives, right? Our conditioning, our ego, our stories about our potential, right? Our delusions, they are inhabiting in the low level of the mind. And then we have a higher mind, where our higher self gives us inspiration and possibilities, right? Desire to transform ourselves, that comes to us through the higher mind. So it's learning to transform lower levels of the mind into the higher mind, right? It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So when we get tired of listening to the lies of the lower mind, we're willing to look into the mirror of truth, right? And that's the bridge to our higher mind. So the mirror of truth, you know, if we are, I remember, loves, oh my gosh, the strongest prayer that you can say that will radically open your eyes to your own blind spots. Are you ready for this? This is strong. This is only for some deepest committed alchemist. Don't invoke this prayer if you're not ready to see your own delusions. But if you're ready, if intense process of transformation turns you on, you love the process of alchemy, this is your prayer. You ask your higher self, today I'm willing to see all the ways that I've been lying to myself. My higher self, can you please show me the fullness of the grip my ego has on me? I want to see what my ego is trying not to help me see. This is strong, loves. I remember I asked that because I really, I love the process of transformation. I love the intensity of it. Because I love freedom. I'm driven by freedom. I don't like being caged in my own negative beliefs or my fears or procrastination or, all of that human drama. I came here to create powerfully. I came here to create and to give birth to movements and to new realities, and so have you, right? So what can liberate us from the shackles is this prayer. It's not a serenity prayer. It's a liberation prayer where you say, higher self, I'm willing to see. Can you show me? Can you show me today where my ego got a hold on my life? And your ego and my ego is interested in survival. So your ego is not a part of you that will encourage you to take risk, to stand out with your unique voice, right? Your ego will say, let's wait another year before we move forward. This year is not good for courage. Next year will be better, right? So we can be so masterful at defending our limitations. Where do you think that energy come from? From the lower mind. So the true change transforms where we begin to alchemize the lower levels of the mind. And that begins with self-honesty, self-honesty, self-honesty. I went, so I love astrology. Astrology was original psychotherapy, right? True science of astrology. Tomorrow never comes. Hey, Gabriel, good to see you. Hi, Carly, good to see you. So I am obsessed with astrology. Love it. I love it. Like the deep science, deep metaphysical science of astrology that goes beyond knowing what your sun sign is, right? So the deep astrology wisdom is original psychotherapy, right? To understand the influence in your astrological makeup is to understand your personality, to understand the direction of your soul. And for the long time, long time, darlings, I had a limiting belief that I need to tone it down. I need to tone down my power. I need to tone down my expression. I need to tone down my intensity. But it comes out anyway, you know, because I'm here to serve truth. And this is probably one of the reasons I love working with Kali. Goddess Kali is one of my benevolent expressions of divine feminine that I serve, right? I serve truth, and truth can feel intense, right? So my new astrologer, well, he's not really new. For 2 years, I've been working with this amazing astrologer who is the first one who told me, Katerina, be the intense person you came here to be. He's like, I'm not going to ask you to tone it down and to package it nicely. I'm actually going to challenge you to bring it forth. Because truth liberates. Truth liberates, right? Illusions keep us stuck. So, beloveds, the first step to change is love of truth. Love of truth. The second step to change is asking yourself, what belief in your subconscious mind that still exists, that at some level serves you to stay the same, right? There is always, if we struggle to change, if we struggle to move forward with anything, there is always a belief in our subconscious that says it is safer or more valuable to stay the same than moving forward. So the goal is to find the belief. What is the belief that supports you staying the same? And that's the process where to have a guide, to have a coach, to have a mentor, to have a psychotherapist is so crucial, because it's very difficult to see your own subconscious. It's hidden for you, right? This is why we would be wise to seek support in that process. You know, so many times, this is my, I really love that process. You know, I love to be sort of a belief surgeon. You know what I mean? Just like tuning to find where's the belief in this human being, where's that belief that they hold on to, and they just don't see it. But the moment you help them see the belief that holds them back, they're willing to release it, right? What's the third step to change? The third step to change is all about our power. The goal of alchemy, the goal of transformation, is for us to step into a new level of power, right? Hi, Carly. Hi, Jenny. Love divine design. Yeah, it's good to see you, darlings. Yeah, have you seen my beautiful serpent of transformation over there? So, the power of Kundalini. I'll talk a little bit briefly around that. When I went through a Kundalini awakening, which was a series of activation of divine current in the body. This is what Kundalini is. Kundalini is that sleeping feminine power that sleeps like a coiled snake at the bottom of our spine, right? This is why when we are approaching a new levels of spiritual awakening, we're drawn to different somatic practices such as breath work and chanting and dance and movement, because they all help to bring that divine current online, right? Once we approach a true awakening of our true power, known as Kundalini awakening, there is always responsibility that comes with the new level of power. And a lot of times when people shy away from unlocking their new power because they fear the responsibility that comes with it, right? So it's much easier to hold on to a story that I am so powerless, my opportunities are so limited, I can't move forward, I don't trust life. It's so much easier to hold on to that story than to say, oh my goodness, I'm a powerful divine being here to boom my light, to keep awakening my divine current of creativity and genius and vision, right? That's what Kundalini awakening will ask us to do. Every new level of power comes with new level of responsibility. What are we going to do with all that power, right? So whenever I see people who are shining away from developing their power, it's because they're holding on to a belief that living with less power is a safer scenario, right? But we got to remember, as spirits who come to this incarnation, we come here to live dangerously, to live on the edge of existence, to dance with existence. This is the essence of us embarking on heroine journey or hero journey, right? The very beginning of that awakening or empowerment is us stepping on the journey without guarantees, stepping on a journey that will feel dangerous and unknown and completely unpredictable. And when we choose to step on that journey of unlocking our power, awakening our Kundalini, actually deciding to find our genius, right? To find our genius. this is an exciting adventure that will radically transform who you are. What are you capable of creating? What are you capable of experiencing in one lifetime? And it's never too late to start on that journey. What is required is to become radically honest, right? I always say, it's like whatever area in our life that we don't have results that we're inspired by, that area is where we hold the most amount of lies. Just telling you the truth. The most amount of lies. I remember in the year 2020 or 2021? Like, remember that year where we were locked into our homes, gyms were closed, there was no exercise available, and so many of us got terribly out of shape in 1 year. Do you remember? I remember, because year 2021, I went to Florida for like a break from California, which in California things were very intense during pandemic. It was like one of the most intense states to be in. So in the 2021, in January, I went to Florida to get some fresh air, to smell some, some change and some some break from the environment. And in a year of pandemic, there were some series of choices that I have made, right? Granted, there were no access to the gym, there were not access to my daily fitness, but there was also, a series of choices that I have made to deal with intensity of the environment. And I remember I looked myself in 2021 and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so out of shape. And it was like a shock, it was like the moment of honesty. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And I remember even recording a live stream about it. Anybody remembers that live stream when I made this public declaration, how annoyed and irritated I felt finding myself in such state of out of shape? Self-honesty is the first step to do something different about the situation that you don't like. And I remember I just committed and I started training in my house with the kettlebells, and actually came into alignment with, right, Crystal? Do you remember? Yeah, the pandemic weight. So the way we shift anything, whether it's money or relationships or body weight, first is to become aware of our own bullshit, our own lies. That lower part of the mind, egoic mind, can tell us that it's okay. It's okay. You can stay there even though you really hate the situation that you're in. It's okay. It's not that bad. You gotta wake up to the voice of reality, right? And just say, no, it's not okay. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change. So, darlings, it was the same thing with business. I teach and help spiritual entrepreneurs come into their power. The reason, one of the key reasons I was able to create big results in my business was when I reached the same point that I'm sharing with you. I became honest with myself. I didn't have any challenge in the very beginning of my career as a coach, as a mentor. I didn't have any challenge to create interest in my work. There were people literally everywhere I would go. People would be drawn to my aura, and I have an aura. It's aura of the listener and keeper of the secrets, right? It's like my energetic gift. So if I don't have any boundaries, people, complete strangers, would just find the way, get a little bit closer, and literally in the middle of minutes, they start telling me their deepest, darkest secrets and confessing about their life challenges. Trust me, it becomes exhausting. If everywhere you go, people see you as an available confession booth. You don't want to live that life. You had to create boundaries. I had to create boundaries. So, but what I didn't have the skill of how to turn that interest in people being around my energy into actually a process that people can step into and solve their challenges instead of just having a quick relief. You know, a quick relief where you think you solved your challenges by, you know, putting it away for a little bit. So I remember putting my foot down on my path as the beginning, as a new entrepreneur, just putting my foot down and saying, I am not here to be a social coach. I'm not a social coach. I'm either going to make this my professional path as my career, then I'm going to show up for it as my career. I'm going to learn the skills. I'm going to put systems in process. I'm going to put very strong boundaries, right? So I'm going to approach it as my career, not as a hobby, right? So it was a choice point. There was a radical conversation with myself. Gosh, I've been treating it as my hobby. That's why I don't have results. Now I'm going to treat it as my career. And how do I show up for it if it's my career? A very different stance. So the key to transformation, any area of our life, business, body, relationships, first, being willing to see the truth. Being willing to see the truth. Truth liberates, but before it liberates, it's going to hurt. When you dare to look at the mirror of truth, you're not going to like some parts of what you see. But that discomfort is the fuel that you need to transform yourself. Comfort puts us in the trance of illusion. You know, when somebody says, it's not that bad, it's okay, you're only 50 pounds overweight, it's okay. Somebody out there in the world is 100 pounds or more overweight, right? So you can hear that voice. It's the voice of the ego that says that radical change is not worth it. Let's just stay the same. Let's just stay the same. There's a great book by one of my role models, Steve Chandler, incredible author. He says there's a book that's called 50 Lies We Tell Ourselves and How to Transform Them. I love his work. He tells his story. Steve Chandler, look him up. Steve Chandler is one of the role models that I really appreciate. And he tells a story because he became a speaker, a professional coach after the age of 50. He stepped into his service, built his coaching business after the age of 50, my friends. If you think it's too late, if you're in your 60s, you're starting your coaching business and you have that voice that says, I am an old dog who cannot learn new tricks. Stop that voice. Let me tell you a story about Steve Chandler, who's been struggling with alcoholism for many, many years. He was a severe alcoholic, spent a lot of his life savings, put a lot of his family into deep trouble by drinking his pain, right? And then one day he committed to sobriety and turned his life around and was coached by another role model of mine, Steve Hardison. And Steve Chandler, at the age of 50 when he became a coach, now he wrote more than 30 books. Now he's in his 70s, probably like 75. So he began his career after 50, right? And rose like the phoenix. That's the power of human transformation. That against all odds, you say, it's not too late. I am not afraid to face the truth. I desire truth and only truth. I am willing to call myself on my own bullshit. And I choose to seek help and support in the process, right? I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to seek support because I know seeking support is not weakness, it's actually wisdom. And the third step, I'm going to embrace the joy in the process. You know, loves, because transformation can be so joyful. You can find the joy in sculpting your body, right? Until I transformed my body for the very first time, I did not know my power. The very first time I transformed my body was after my divorce 14 years ago. I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up around fitness. I grew up, there was nobody in my family who loved fitness. There was just like everybody in my family environment just severely abused their bodies. And when I moved to the United States 17 years ago, I was married for 3 years, and it was great curriculum on that story. But after I went through divorce, I actually joined the gym, and I found the first connection between when I move, I feel better. And I start moving and I start feeling better. And I didn't know how to access my feelings at that time. But I knew when I move, something would move within me. It was a huge insight. And then I became really obsessed with fitness and transformed my body, literally sculpted my body into this new version. And, what it taught me, now I've been working out for the last 14 years. And there's, when you train for so long, there is going to be peaks of your fitness and there's going to be valley of your fitness, right? And everything in between, because your body adjusts. So you get to condition it in a new way to transform it into a new level. But one thing I can share with you is I had no idea about the power of my mind until I stepped into a commitment of transforming my body. And this is why, I began bringing this message very strongly to my community this year is let's not fool ourselves. If we don't train our body, we don't have power of our mind. And that's the level of truth that I am willing to have a conversation with myself. The moment I start ignoring my body, right, I lose the power of my mind. And when I lose the power of my mind, I lose the power of transformation. So the power of transformation is learning to transform our habits, learning to transform our choices, learning to transform our body. And all it takes was loving the truth. Loving truth, because truth liberates. Hi, welcome. This was a truth station today. If anyone, you're still here, you are my fellow rebels and lovers of truth, because on the other side of truth is freedom. When you transform your body, you transform your mind, you transform your business, you transform your relationships, you become the powerhouse you always felt you could be, right? You realize yourself, oh my gosh, I am truly that spark of divinity, that alchemist that I came here to be. If you work with the Gene Keys, beloveds, the chapter that I always recommend is the chapter 55, where we transform the shadow of victimization to the gift of freedom. And, it takes humility to examine your consciousness and search for all the ways that we are still playing victim. Victim to our own habits, anybody? Victim to our own fears? Victim to our own limiting beliefs? It takes humility to sit and to ask yourself, where am I choosing to play small, get in my own way because I am terrified of my own power? So I'm going to invent the stories of my limitation because I'm terrified of my own power. That is the process of the alchemy. That is the process of deep, lasting transformation. This is a possibility that we came here to fully experience as human beings, in human beings, spiritual beings, right? So this is what I take a stand for. I take a stand for seeing humanity as a collective field, coming into full awakening of our true power. True awakening is awakening of our true power, which is the symbol of Kundalini. You see the serpent on my wall. Is awakening of Kundalini within us. Kevin is joining. Jennifer, thank you very much. It's been a deep transmission on truth and power. So the key to transforming anything, darlings, is to become lovers of truth. If you work with Goddess Kali, she is fantastic. The same as Durga. Any kind of a strong empowerment archetype, right, will invite you to examine your relationship with your power. And the relationship with your power is a relationship with your true potential. So if you just joined, this was a deep transmission. There was a total channeling. I started it with letting you know that I had a business call on a schedule and I was ready for it, just to realize I was a week early. I do have a pattern of completely exiting time, the linear time. But I want you to know that if you feel like this year that you've been holding yourself back, or you've been challenged in a new way, I'll watch the replay. Yes, Kevin. Just know that the process of transformation is the path that we get to walk on. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. And if you work with other human beings, because a lot of people who connect with me, you are walking the path of being catalysts for other people's transformation, right? And more and more light workers choose to volunteer fully for that mission. And that path, my fellow healers and teachers, that path will demand from us to be willing to hold up the mirror of truth. And in order to liberate another human being from the shackles of their limitations or fears, we get to hold up a mirror of truth. And not everybody will want to look inside into the mirror right away. Some people will actually fight really hard for their limitations. Expect that. It's a path of patience, great patience. You know, my biggest role model is the Divine Feminine in this work. A Divine Mother is infinitely patient with all of us. She says, you know, if you don't seek me this lifetime, I'm going to wait. I'm waiting for you infinite lifetimes. Infinite lifetimes. So it's a beautiful process. And I shared with you the alchemical keys of transformation that I have discovered in my own path. And feel free to dive into the replay. Become lovers of truth. If you desire to see the biggest blind spots that ego can hold over you, you can ask your higher self. It's a very brave prayer, right? It's a very brave prayer. And if you know that you're here for truth and nothing but the truth, you can say it in the depths of your heart. And the prayer goes like this: higher self, please help me see my own bullshit. Higher self, I'm here to see my own blind spots. I know it may be frightening. I know I may have some resistance, but please hold up the cosmic mirror. Let me see where I am holding on to lies and fears of my own power. I dare you to ask that prayer if you're ready, right? If you're ready to really move forward. Gosh, it was such, when I did that prayer, loves, was it the 2019 when I dared to do that? Whew! It's like invoking Kali. You know, it's like invoking Kali, goddess of truth. I remember I invoked Kali and also Sekhmet for my birthday. And it's like invoking the fire. Burn away the forest of lies. But you know what? You know what? But when you begin working with those very powerful archetypal energies, you begin to take quantum leaps. Real quantum leaps are built on the steps of radical truth, right? It's not just, I am here for the quantum leaps. No, you're like, I'm going to bow down and surrender to the deepest alchemy of my life because I am tired of lies that my ego tells me are keeping me safe. I love you so much. I believe in us. I am an objectivist. I know that it's not easy for a lot of people to transform. I'm an objectivist. I validate the intensity of transformation process. I'm also here to remind all of us that we've never had so many resources available to us for free. You turn on YouTube or Facebook, and at any point somebody's transmitting the message of support, somebody's transmitting the message of empowerment, somebody's transmitting the message of guidance. So yes, true transformation requires an incredible courage and willingness, right, and commitment. And yes, look at how much of support we have available right now. So holding both of these great reminders, and then, you know, you have, every single one of us has an invisible team of guides, right, that we can invoke. My favorite request of my spirit guides in the morning, I ask them, spirit guides, would you please alert me to the patterns of self-sabotage? Will you please alert me to the patterns of codependency? Will you please alert me to any negative patterns so I can make a different choice? See what happens. I believe in us. I believe that we are going to move through this tunnel that we are moving through right now. And that is why so many light workers are on the planet right now. So like millions of us. We are not so small in numbers. Every single light worker that fully comes online with the Kundalini open, available for the mission, becomes a part of the web, a global web of illumination, service, contribution. Right? We get to remember that we are not that small in numbers. We are shifting collective in a very significant way. Very significant way. And this is why you and I are here. This is why you and I volunteered to be the family of light. We were like on the edges of our seats, waiting for our turn to incarnate in this time and space, to carry out our galactic assignment with an incredible amount of joy. Right? So let's help each other remember that our numbers are not that small. And there are so many voices, and your voice is needed for your soul line, your soul group that you are intimately connected to. So when you dare to look into the mirror of truth, when you dare to see your blind spots, when you begin to leap into your next level of expansion and courage, your entire soul group gets a ripple through your choice. And they are excited and not excited, invited to rise. This is how we are creating ripples of transformation. It's so good. It's so good. It's so beautiful. So this is my message for today, beloveds. I believe in us. I deeply believe in us. We are here to live boldly, be the mirrors of truths for each other, and to transform anything weak into strength. So on this note, thank you so much. Thank you for the gift of your presence. If you joined for 5 seconds or entire hour, it's the field that you're tapping into, right? And on this note, may you be blessed. May you be blessed. Remember your power. Remember your vision. And remember your joy. Power, vision, joy.